President Donald Trump's higher American economic policy is forcing companies to pay higher wages and also buy the labor-saving machinery which allows Americans to produce more value in less time. This dynamic in which rising wages boost productivity is radically different from several years ago when former President Barack Obama set economic policy. Obama imported a record number of legal migrants and cheered the free trade deals which allowed companies to move jobs overseas to cheap labor countries. His skewed labor policies allowed CEOs and Wall Street investors to spike their stock prices by outsourcing jobs overseas, hiring cheap imported workers instead of buying machines, and also topping off workers' low wages with taxpayers' aid and welfare. With plenty of cheap labor, Obama's corporate allies and their media cheerleaders ignored the growing population of sidelined Americans, including many disabled workers, former criminals, and current drug addicts, and also ignored Americans' flat wages. But Trump's higher American policy flipped the script. He reduced the inflow of foreign workers and gave investors and CEOs no choice but to pay higher wages to their American workers, to train sidelined workers, and also to invest in productivity-boosting machinery. Any inflow of foreign workers, whether they are legal or illegal, whether they are permanent immigrants or temporary H-1B visa workers, cuts jobs, wages, and salaries for Americans and also transfers the lost wages to CEOs and investors. This federal policy of using legal and illegal migration to boost economic growth shifts enormous wealth from young employees towards older investors by flooding the market with cheap white-collar and blue-collar foreign labor. The annual inflow of roughly 1 million legal immigrants, as well as the population of 2 million visa workers and 8 million working illegal immigrants, spikes profits and Wall Street values by shrinking salaries for 150 million blue-collar and white-collar employees, especially the wages earned by the 4 million young Americans who join the labor force each year. The federal government's cheap labor policy widens wealth gaps, reduces high-tech investment, increases state and local tax burdens, hurts kids' schools and college education, pushes Americans away from high-tech careers, and sidelines millions of marginalized Americans, including many who are now struggling with fentanyl addictions. Immigration also steers investment and wealth away from towns in heartland states because coastal investors can more easily hire and supervise the large immigrant populations who prefer to live in coastal cities. In turn, the coastal investment flow drives up coastal real estate prices and pushes poor Americans, including Latinos and blacks, out of prosperous cities such as Berkeley and Oakland.